Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Matt, and I'd like to think I'm a pretty creative, free spirited, kind of carefree person. But for work, I am in medicine in a job that is potentially very regimented and logical and very much duty bound, where there's a lot of responsibility. And it's a beautiful thing that I don't take for granted, but those aspects of myself and the responsibility that I have for work, there's been some tension and difficulties there. And so, back during a really tough time in my life, I wrote a poem that kind of addressed this. And I never really did anything with the poem. I maybe shared it with some loved ones, but I never really read it. I never put it out in the public. But I kind of want to start to share it now. I think I've hit a chapter in my life where these sentiments are coming up again for me, but I don't feel as alone in those sentiments. I think a lot of people deal with that kind of push pull of responsibility and duty to the loved ones that you've built into your life, but also the desire to be free and unburdened and just to explore. And I think that I don't know if my poem's going to help anybody, but at least it can help them to feel seen and to recognize some of those same sentiments, especially some of those people who've committed to a job that kind of requires a lot of that dichotomy of presence and, I guess, empathy and just emotion with some of the more concrete aspects of science and logic and following algorithms. So, without further ado, let's get started and I'll share it. I started off with a quote, which is from Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, and that is, "The moment you doubt whether you can fly, you cease forever to be able to do it." The title of my poem is Birds and Bridges. I was a bird. I'd flap my wings and the world would move beneath me. I climbed to new heights and rode the currents to lands known and uncharted. And this was the only life I knew. Flight was so simple, so fast, so elegant that I could soar clearly meant that I myself was elegant, strong, and quick. Frankly, I came to love the company of the other birds. Together we sang and played as if gravity were not a law, but a suggestion. I looked down and I felt the yearnings of those toiling on the earth, and I yearned to have them join me, those people of stone and clay and steel. Be less heavy, I urged them through thoughts both silent and spoken. Unburden yourselves from these materials of great mass. Forget your towers, your bridges, your fears, your plans, for it is these that bind you to the soil. It is these that keep you down. And some people heeded the call of the birds. They sighed their last sigh, they hammered their last nail, and they took to the sky to move from place to place by will and cheer alone. Never again to make a journey by first taking a single step. But I've started a new journey now, and it began as they so often had. The thrill was my sun and vitality, my friends were my wind and my air. Us birds were the first to every milestone. We shared our bird's eye view when we could, beak glinting like a beacon in the sky. I soared and I spun as I'd always done. I was a bird. I'd flap my wings, and I thought the world would move beneath me. But there's a funny thing about flight. Flapping one's wings is not always enough. To glide requires the wind, the air, the heat of the sun. Every inch I'd ever moved I owed to them. And without them, I was no more mobile than the stone that I'd grown to detest. I'd traded bonds of steel and stone for shackles more ethereal, but just as strong. Destinations and origins had always seemed close to me. No mountain seemed too high. I was flying. But the path of the avian among us becomes treacherous in a storm. Flight becomes impossible when a bird grows weary. Impossible without the sun or the moving air. And that's where I find myself. The journey has become long now, and the time for distractions is small. My wings are tired of flapping, and the sun and the air have grown sparse. I fear that I must land now and blaze a path in a brand new way. This terrain, it's alien and scary to me, and I'm just not used to the sky being so far. I flex my toes and I take my first steps, faltering like the clumsiest of toddlers. However, will I reach where I'm going with so many obstacles littering my path? There are rivers and valleys to cross and mountains to peer over, yet I'm stuck here in the land of the stone and clay and steel. And as I search for those who I thought were still well behind me, toiling and tinkering with their materials of great mass, I realize I'm alone. I look around begging for something familiar, but I experience only emptiness and silence. Surrounded by hardness, I begin to miss the clouds and sky. I sometimes look up at what I've lost. And that's when I see them. Those people of work and toil. Far above me in the clouds, I see the products of their efforts. I see the towers and the lanterns serving as beacons to let others know that they're there. These toilers are now the children of the sky, and I'm the one bound to the earth. The lack of sun or wind will not shake them in their towers. To them, gravity is not a law, but a suggestion. And from there, they can see the other people of stone, whose hard-won bridges have gotten them to their goals. Their toils took them time, but the path they made across the valleys will not shake. A bridge is neither ethereal nor ephemeral. It is methodical and elegant and strong. The stone and steel, whose mass once scared me, I realized offered permanence and strength. I once thought that through passion alone, one could meet any challenge under the sky. I believed that only through chasing dreams one could reach the stars. To toil, I felt, was solely the purview of those who hadn't learned that there exist shorter distances between A and B than the straight line that so many seem to love. And while I still feel this to be true, I see that often the straightest line is the strongest path. My hubris has begat a new humility, an appreciation for a day of honest work. I now see that a balloon that's not tied down drifts away far too fast to serve its purpose. And on this new unfathomable journey, I must learn to embrace these materials of mass and substance. As I, a creature so dependent on being light that my very bones are hollow, struggle to make the journey of 1,000 steps, I'm going to need some guidance and support. I need to build a brace to strengthen my brittle, untested legs for what's to come. And I'm going to build them of wood and flint, and not the clouds and breezes of my former dominion. I have a message to the toilers. While I once looked down and willed you to join me in the sky, now it is I who peers up at you. You who remain suspended high above the earth without depending on anything but your bridges built so carefully and held together by your own sweat and elbow grease. You people for whom the world is linear and for whom order and discipline come naturally, I must ask of you a favor. Teach me to be a stonemason, to build a foundation tall and strong. Prepare me for when the wind dies down so that I shall not fall. Teach me to be a welder, to build connections one beam, one step at a time. Prepare me to get where I'm going when I've grown too weary to spread my wings. Do this, and I promise you, when our fatigue begins to wane and the sun and the air return to give us strength, I will cast off the braces from my legs and use their flint and wood and steel to light in you a spark. I will show you what it means to be a bird, to let go of the details and dream without restraint, to get somewhere simply because you want to be there and fully believe that nothing can stop you. Together, we can build bridges to the ends of the earth and towers to the limits of the sky. And then, upon reaching the limits of perseverance and toil, we can use these boundaries as our origin. And then as birds, surpass these limits, soaring higher and farther than any thought possible. Together, we can become healers who keep each other strong of body and light of spirit. Stones, air, steel, sun, substance, freedom, balancing birds and bridges breeds bolder breakthroughs. Thank you.